Mr. Speaker, well, I yield myself such time as I may consume, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. I rise in strong opposition to H.R. 1023, legislation that repeals the methane emissions reduction program and the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, two landmark programs included in the Inflation Reduction Act. Now, these two programs work to slash dangerous climate pollution and invest in communities across the country, all while lowering the deficit. The bill is nothing more than another shameless giveaway to Republicans' corporate polluter friends at the American people's expense. What's more, this is the third time Republicans have brought bills to repeal these programs to the House floor. Clearly, my Republican colleagues are struggling to come up with new ideas and resorting to the same tired old stunts that we've all come to expect. H.R. 1023 is more of the same. It's the latest in a long line of politicized attempts to reverse course on climate action and reject the historic progress Democrats made towards securing a cleaner, stronger future. And make no mistake, the progress Democrats delivered with the Inflation Reduction Act was historic. It finally put us on track to meet our climate goals, and at the same time has already created more than 271,000 new good-paying clean energy jobs right here at home. These are jobs for electricians, construction workers, mechanics, and technicians that can't be shipped overseas. And of course, more than half of these jobs and clean energy projects are in districts represented by my Republican colleagues who are right now fighting to take them away. It's just unconscionable, and it defies logic. The United States now experiences a $1 billion or more extreme weather event every 3 weeks, and that's unprecedented in our nation's history. And it underscores just how critical it is that we reduce greenhouse gas pollution and invest in the clean energy jobs that will carry our economy into the future. But Republicans flat out refuse to hold polluters accountable for the damages that they cause. Instead, they are doubling down on their polluters over people agenda with this bill that repeals the methane emissions reduction program. And this program provides incentives to drive down methane pollution, one of the most dangerous and potent greenhouse gases. Methane pollution is responsible for a whole host of health risks and a full third of the warming that we experience today. Now, we're likely to hear false claims from Republicans that this is a tax. I've already heard that from my colleague, but it's not a tax. It simply ensures that polluters, not the American people, pay for the methane pollution that they cause. It corrects a market failure that currently makes it cheaper for owners and operators to waste methane rather than install or upgrade equipment to prevent leaks and flaring. And these are real problems because leaked and intentionally wasted natural gas never makes its way to customers, but they are nevertheless stuck with the bill. The methane emissions reduction program fixes that and ensures that consumers no longer pay for wasted energy or the harm that it causes. And of course, companies can avoid paying the waste emission charge altogether by not wasting methane. Wasted methane is bad for business, it's bad for Americans, and it's bad for the climate. And H.R. 1023 would allow this waste to continue to go unchecked. The methane emissions reduction program also complements the Biden administration's actions to slash methane pollution from the oil and gas sector, and the international community is following suit. Last year, I was at the COP28, and countries around the world committed to accelerating their efforts to control this dangerous pollution. This was the climate conference held in Dubai. And their commitments were possible from other countries because of the United States leadership in addressing methane here at home. And that's why Republican efforts to undermine methane protection are so dangerous as well. The Republican agenda compromises America's global leadership and threatens our global competitiveness. So the bottom line is that if we move ahead and try to reduce methane and recycle it, if you will, then other countries will follow suit. Also, the methane emissions reduction program brings in funds that benefit the American people. So how are Republicans paying for the repeal of the methane program? They're repealing another key inflation reduction program, the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. They're using that to pay for the loss of funding for the federal government from the methane emissions reduction program. So the other fund that they repeal, the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, invests $27 billion to mobilize financing to address the climate crisis, lower Americans' energy bills, promote job creation, and revitalize our community. It's a direct investment in the communities we're here to represent, and this Republican bill takes those investments away. So when the Biden administration right now is hard at work establishing this Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, and they're going, various nonprofits, states, and local governments have submitted applications for funding, for grants for their projects. And Republican efforts to repeal the fund at this stage of the implementation process is robbing our communities of the money that they need and deserve to grow our middle class, create new jobs, and protect our families from the most catastrophic impacts of the climate crisis. This is sort of like a green bank. In other words, a lot of towns, states, nonprofits can't get money from regular financing to finance clean energy projects, and so we're helping them with this green bank or greenhouse gas reduction fund. So, Mr. Speaker, H.R. 1023, the bill on the floor, is a failed proposal that will never become law and helps absolutely no one except the worst corporate polluters. Big oil and gas don't need more help. They get plenty of help from tax exemptions, but the American people need some help. They need some help in moving towards clean energy, in reducing all these weather catastrophes that we have, and creating new jobs. And that's what we're doing. So don't let that all stop because of the Republicans' ideological effort here today to say that we don't need these things. We do need them. And that's why I encourage all of my colleagues to join me in opposing this bill. I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman from New